All right, I got Miss Rebecca in the house today.
Hey, Mitch.
How are you doing?
I'm good. It's so excited to finally connect. We've been kind of going back and forth for a little while here, and it's great to finally be on here with you.
Hey man, yeah, I'm excited to have you. We were kind of chatting and catching up before, and we were laughing about the last time that we met. I was talking about keto, and you were talking about people's macros for weight loss. And
Yes.
um, I'm excited to hear what you've been up to, but I've got an idea that it's not weight loss coaching anymore. Can you start with, let's start from the beginning and let's just unpack your journey a little bit and then we'll go into where you're at now. How about that?
Sure, that sounds good. I'll try to keep it as concise as I can because, I could go on and on, as most of us can once we've gone through a little bit of a healing journey or still on the journey. Um, so as far as my personal story, I'm a coach who works with women with a lot of gut issues, and that is based on my own personal experience from years and years and years of gut issues. It starts all the way back when I was a teen with anorexia, really severe constipation, and then I was hospitalized multiple times from my eating disorder. Um, Fast forward till probably my 30s and still dealt with a lot of gut issues. Just kind of brushed it off as that was my anatomy, no big deal. That was just the way things were. Um, in my 40s, I finally decided I was going to kind of take control of my own health. I'd gone through the upper GI, I had gone through the endoscopy, the colonoscopy, the x-rays, the gastroenterology appointment, all of it, you name it. And really nothing helped. So
Mm.
I started studying functional medicine myself. I found a functional medicine practitioner. We started working on some gut issues, and I really found a lot of hope finally for the first time in a very long time. Because after years of people kind of telling you you're crazy, there's nothing wrong. It's hard. It's hard to feel hopeless and to think that you're just going to be miserable, for the rest of your life. So that's what pushed me into working with people with gut issues. So that's my love. I did do weight loss coaching when you and I first met. Did not really want to do weight loss coaching. It was not my thing, and I knew I was meant to go in a different direction. So over the years, I've done further studying, certifications, courses on the gut health, gut microbiome, and here I am now helping women with IBS and chronic digestive issues kind of overcome those issues without having severely restricted diets. That's the piece that really I just couldn't ever get around with some of the functional medicine stuff, is that everything was eliminate, eliminate, eliminate. With my history of an eating disorder, that never felt right to me. So that's why I wanted to take this gut health in a different direction. And that's what I do with my clients.
Yeah, that's such a common. I mean, I have such a similar story as well. Why do you think eliminate, like, what's the goal in eliminating and restricting foods?
Yeah, the goal is, taking foods out that could potentially be causing excess inflammation. Um, and then seeing if your symptoms die down and then trying to bring them back in. But here's the thing, I would find people not bringing those foods back in. They would continue to eliminate, because I did this. I was down to probably 7 or 8 safe foods that I thought I could eat without having digestive symptoms. And if you don't bring those foods back in, you're doing more long-term damage to your health and your gut microbiome, never mind your social life, right? Because you go out to eat with me and I'm like, oh, I need this and I need this and I need this on the side and I can't go eat there. And totally understand that for people with food allergies. I get it. Or if you feel better if you're off dairy or gluten or whatever. But so many of these gut protocols really leverage the elimination diet and never taught people how to bring the food back in. And they're just kind of left hanging out there, with limited diets, thinking they have to live like that forever.
Mm. And the typical offenders are going to be things like gluten, milk, uh, maybe seed oils, nuts, nightshades. Is
Yeah.
there any that I'm missing?
Yeah, well, you name it, I did it. I did, low oxalate, low histamine, low FODMAP, low no gluten, no dairy, no sugar, no alcohol. One person says have poison, they're going to kill you. Another one says that meat is horrible for you and horrible for the planet. So I see why it's so hard for people because there's so much misinformation and so much controversy that you'll see on social media about this. So it's no wonder people are confused.
And I'm interested too about these findings. Like we were kind of talking about this the other day, and I shared a post that I had seen recently about common findings that we see in functional medicine circles. And those of us that have been searching for answers, feeling like something's wrong with us for so long, and we get like what you described as a high. I'm getting excited because I finally got the proof of this thing like mold and Lyme and heavy metals and blood sugar issues and these different markers that are off. And what was surprising to me that maybe this information is out there, but I haven't heard it was most people have these findings going on. The majority of them do not have symptoms attached with that. And so tell us a little bit about what that's like to feel like there's some to have symptoms, to get some proof that yeah, here it is, and then to have an action plan that feels like we're in control and we're fixing this, and to come out the other end that you said none of this stuff worked. Like that seems like it's a mind fuck.
I know. For real. Yeah. I've always been the fix it mindset. I mean, I was the people pleaser, the perfectionist. And funny thing is, I always thought those were personality traits until I started learning about the nervous system and realized they were just, parts that I was using to protect myself and several other
Mm.
things, which you could expand upon more. But um, so I am a box checker. You give me a plan, I'm going to stick to it, right? So
Yep.
here's my test results. Finally, someone believes me. Finally somebody can see that yes, there's something wrong with me. So there's a little bit of victim mindset
Oh
there.
yeah.
Yep. So there's something wrong with me. So let's fix it. If like your car's making a noise, you take it to the shop, the mechanic runs the diagnostics on it. Great. What are you going to do? Right. So I did that time and time and time again. I kept asking my functional medicine practitioner, what else can we run? What other tests? There's got to be something else. There's got to be something else. I would do the supplements. I would do the testing. I would check all the boxes. I would eliminate the foods and I'd feel better for a little while. But then everything went right back to where it was.
It's so crazy. I was in that washing machine, rinse, wash, repeat over and over again for so long. And it's like, so many things that you just said I can relate to. You said you're a box checker. Everywhere that I went, I was the favorite client because I would do what you said to a T. I'd feel great realizing, oh, you believe the same thing I do, that there's something wrong with me. Thank goodness. And then I'd take that proof and that solution and go apply it. And for the next 2 or 3 weeks, I might feel really good until I settle back into my old pattern and this old familiar feeling of something's wrong or the symptom continues to pop up. Was it like that for you?
It was, yeah. And then there were new symptoms, right? New symptoms or different variations of the original symptoms. Because I mean, for me, it was easy for me to eliminate a food. It was easy for me to take a supplement. It was not easy for me to say no and set boundaries. It
There
was
you
not
go.
easy for me to stop working out 6 and 7 days a week. Those were hard things for me to do. So those were the things that I resisted. I didn't want to do. Those were hard for me. Taking a supplement and eliminating a food, piece of cake. I can do that. But tell me, don't get up at 4 o'clock and ride my Peloton for 30 or 40 minutes. Yeah, maybe not so easy.
Yeah, well, ultimately, control, uh, like what we're describing, it feels like safety, but ultimately, it keeps the nervous system activated and scanning for this threat. And so I like to go back to this feeling of something is wrong with me is so common, and it comes from early developmental stuff. And so as a kid, if we have, Norm would call it environmental failure, meaning I didn't get my needs met, something like um, safety, authenticity, and unconditional love are three things that a child needs. And so if those needs don't get met, the environment has failed us. As a child, it's impossible to see our parents or our caregivers as not meeting our needs. And so we take that anger and that shame and that fear and we turn it on ourselves and we say, I'm bad. And it's like we have this wound inside of us that hasn't been met, unmet needs, unmet wounds, trauma in the body that we've been carrying, and we learn that, oh, if I'm perfect, if I get it right, if I constantly fix it, well, then I have this control that feels like safety, and it makes me the problem. And so when I finally get this lab that says, "See, something is wrong with you," it reinforces the belief and the pattern, and then we get locked into trying to figure out and fix everything. And then a decade later, and $100,000 spent, we're you're telling me that I've restricted all the foods, I've cut people, food, things that I love, cake out of my life and I've got more symptoms? Like, how can that be possible? And it's like we chase our tail until we get enough education to try something else.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it's been years chasing my tail, and it's so interesting now to look back at those years and just see it through a whole different lens.
Mm.
Just see now really what I was doing. And when you said, unmet needs as a child, I was the youngest of three girls, and my father never wanted girls. He only wanted boys. So from the day I was born, I was not good enough in
Mm.
his eyes, right? So that, pretty much set the tone for years of me, straight A student, had to be, the best of the best. I wouldn't try it if I didn't think I could be good at it, you
Oh
know?
yeah. Oh yeah. I could not handle, and I think it was and this sounds almost braggadocious, but it's not. It's like in this work, I didn't find I'm pretty much the guy that can pick up anything athletically and do pretty good with a little bit of practice. But usually I expect myself to do it right away. But we got into deeper levels of Irene's work, Irene Lyon, my mentor, Smart Body, Smart Mind, and you're like multitasking, you're doing this very slow awareness type practice. And you'd be, let's just say I'm moving this hand kind of like this, and I'm moving my leg or something like that. And I used to get so freaking mad because but that's the thing is that's why I call this work the red pill that ultimately takes us back to authenticity because there's no order of doing things, but at a certain point I got it to see the perfection, the people pleasing. Here's one that you'll like, the intellectualization. You ever heard of that?
Yep.
All these things that I thought were my superpower. I thought
Yep.
being a chameleon and shape shifting for anyone that I was around, abandoning my needs and pleasing this and fawning
Mm-hmm.
to this person,
Mm-hmm.
being the best athlete, being able to figure things out. Like I was the fixer. I was
Mm-hmm.
the biohacking guy that give me any problem and I'll fix it. And so I quickly started to see in this work, and I had to step away from health coaching for about 2 years. I'm just starting to do it again, but now I'm a trauma practitioner.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I saw that I was bringing my fix it and my figure it out and giving those patterns to my clients, and I was restricting and taking things away and having them override their body and fast for crazy. So you can take any of these healthy practices that you and I probably still love and you can bring it into your pattern. And I'm wondering if there was ever like a aha moment, like what was the moment when you were like, oh shit, like I'm repeating the same thing over, or it's Groundhog Day every single day, and what made you go in a different direction? Was there a moment?
um, I don't know that there was one moment.
Yeah.
Um, it's funny because I started doing some work during the pandemic when we had the shutdown during the pandemic. I picked up heart math, which is heart rate variability training.
Yeah.
It really drew me in. I became a heart math certified practitioner, went
Nice.
on to do heart math trauma work. And when I went back to work after being out, I was practicing my heart math, which is about 3 minutes a session, 3 times a day. And I went back to work, and my coworkers said, "You're different. What's going on? You're not reacting, you're responding, you seem a lot more calm." And I think at that point I was like, okay, there's something to this. There's something to this work beyond the food, beyond the supplements, beyond the killing my body at the gym. There's a lot of inner work that I need to do. And that, again, for a while I stayed with that, and then that dropped off because I fell right back into my old patterns again. But then I met with, about a year and a half ago, there was a lady that I had spoken with on Instagram, excuse me, LinkedIn. We hooked up and we just really hit it off. We spoke. It turns out she was a nervous system restoration practitioner.
Nice.
So she and I, we she hooked me up with somebody else and said, "You really need to talk to this person about your business." I was feeling kind of stuck in my business, like I wasn't able to make any headway, and I was hustling. Let me tell you, every spare minute I had. I know you can relate to all this because you know, never miss a Monday, work hard, no time for
David
anything.
Goggins and Jocko all the time.
I mean, it's just, so I was every spare minute on my computer grinding, trying to make something out of this business. And she and I sat down and she said, "This is not working because you don't have the capacity in your nervous system for success. And I suggest that you seek out a coach to kind of help you do this." So I went back to the original lady. We did some work through her program, and I think at that moment I was like, okay, this is real. See, for me, nervous system work and the inner work, you can't see it, right? So it's hard. If you're working out and you're growing your muscles, you can see it. You know something's going on. If you've got a plate of food in front of you, you can see it. So for me, it was just trusting. And I think you and I spoke before we hit record, surrender, which is really hard for someone who loves to think that they can be in control of everything.
Oh yeah.
Um, that that's the piece I realized I was missing. So I've just been over the last like year and a half working more with my clients on either helping them do more vagus nerve work or actually sending them to different programs, to different nervous system programs while we're doing the gut healing work, or sending them and then having them come back after they've done it.
Mhm.
Because that can be the roadblock. That can be the thing that either kind of makes or breaks your long-term success with your, and I don't even want to call it success. I mean, health is a journey, right? And if we're lucky, we get to experience it every day. um, so probably about a year and a half ago was the second, the first was the heart math in around 2020. And then so what's that, like 4 years that I slipped back, a year, 3 years, slipped back into my old habits, and then realized, almost like, okay, I've done everything I can do. Now what? I have checked all the boxes. I have done it all. I've worked, and I'm not getting anywhere. So what's something different we can try?
Yeah.
And that's when I started gravitating more toward the nervous system work.
That's awesome. What are there any things early on? And I'm thinking of folks that are listening that are like, man, I've tried everything. And 'cause that was me. I had
Yep.
to exhaust everything that I knew. And
Yep.
eventually I did that so many times that I was like, well, maybe I should try trusting this and moving towards the sensation and the symptom instead of trying to run away from it. What if someone was doing that, either yourself or clients you've worked with, what kind of changes did you see when you started changing up your approach to it?
These sound silly, but I think you're going to understand, and the people that, your audience is going to understand. I actually started just noticing that I enjoyed a warm shower. Just little things that I would do on autopilot every day and not even really pay attention to what was going on. When I would wash my face at night, I was like, oh, I'm just going to massage that a little bit. I would allow myself what used to feel like an indulgence, now became just part of my normal day. If I needed to say no, I felt better saying no, knowing that I was honoring what my body was asking me for,
Hmm.
saying no to a social gathering, saying no to a workout that I had planned. Because, if I had my workouts planned, if it was leg day, I was doing leg day. I didn't care how I felt. I don't care if I only slept 3 hours. I was doing leg day, so I was able to kind of release the guilt from some of that.
Mm.
Um, and it really felt good. I felt lighter in my body once I was started to just kind of wake up to these things.
Well, when we start meeting our body where it's at and allowing those sensations, and it's like we're taking the pressure off. And that's what I feel in my body as you're describing this is like, and this is something I recognized. You mentioned exercise, and I gave you like a big grin when you
Mhm.
said that
Yep.
because that's when I figured out maybe like 6 to 8 months ago, a year ago or something like that. And I came back from an intensive with Irene, and I was wiped out, and I would feel like shit every morning. And the first thought that I had was either, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to do my exercise. How am I going to make myself do it?
Mhm.
Or, oh my God, I'm so tired. I'm going to go give myself energy by going to the well. And what I learned eventually is that you're now running on cortisol and adrenaline, and your adrenals are getting smashed, and no wonder you're waking up in the middle of the night. But for me, resting felt terrifying.
It's hard.
I didn't know
Yeah.
how to do that. So you
Right.
had the same, it was hard.
Absolutely. Yes.
How did you
Yep.
overcome that?
Well, I still haven't. I'm going to be honest. It's still
Good.
a process. It's still a process for me. Rest is still hard. It's funny because I almost envy my husband and my daughter who have no trouble resting. And sometimes I'm like, how do you not know that this needs to be done? This. And they are really good, kind of like a mirror for me of what I could adopt a little bit more of. So it is still a struggle for me to
Yeah.
rest and to not feel guilty while I'm resting. Like, you've got a laundry list of things to do. How dare you sit and watch a movie on a Sunday, right?
Hmm.
It's hard. That's one that I'm still working through. I'm not going to lie.
So one I would that comes to mind a tip is I heard this yesterday, and it's learning to be compassionate. That's what the exercise that I was following is about, being compassionate. And one of the ways is interrupting the way we talk to us to ourselves. And when you said, "How dare you sit in on a Sunday morning, or rest on a Sunday
Mm-hmm.
morning," I remembered my mom telling me a story about my grandmother who would wake up first thing in the morning on Sunday mornings and just be running the what's it called?
The vacuum.
The vacuum.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
just like going. And so it's just recognizing that. And
Mm-hmm.
one thing that I learned that really helped me, because I didn't know how to rest either. I'm like, what do you mean? Because I was dealing with sensitization and fatigue, and I want to teach my body that it was okay to be tired, and I was learning to do it when I'm tired. The funny thing is what got me there was doing it when I'm tired.
Right.
And
Yep.
so it was like a double-edged sword. And what my therapist really helped me with is she's like, hey, um, this is something to titrate as well. We don't start off resting by laying on the couch all day long. If we've never done that before and it doesn't feel safe, we start with 1%. And so when I have someone who's on the opposite end of the spectrum, more like procrastination,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a freeze response. You
Yep.
not being able to rest, that's probably a lot of hypervigilance and sensitization going on.
Yep.
And so, what we want to do is do the smallest amount possible and show your nervous system by doing tiny drops that this is okay. And for me, that meant like setting a timer for 5 or 10 minutes and either working on work because I was telling myself, you got to be perfect before you can show up.
Mhm.
and share what you're passionate about. And so I'd set a timer and I'd do it for 10 minutes and I'd do it just fatigued and feeling like crap. Same thing with resting. I'd set it for 10 minutes and I'd go lay on the couch. Because all day long felt like giving up or something
Mhm.
like that. Um, but what I found is if I just rested for like 1% more or that 10 minutes, that's really all that I needed.
Yeah.
Um, and that gave me a baseline for uh, building capacity around being able to rest without guilt tripping myself.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's great advice, titration, because that's what I've had to learn too with this is that um you can't go all in when you're just learning how to kind of work with your nervous system. Um it can be too much. It can
Oh
be too much.
yeah.
You and I had a little conversation before we hit record, and I was crying. I'm like, I'm not even 5 minutes into my conversation with Mitch here, and I'm already crying. And you asked me, is this too much? Is it okay? Can we continue? And we continued. It was okay, but um, titration I think is key.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. And then pendulation comes in, when that feels overwhelming, that's good to we become like an observer and we're going like and we're just attuning. You're saying, "Oh, you're looking like you're getting a little overwhelmed," you know? And we feel like I don't know where this is coming from, but it feels like I have to keep going. I have to do this right now. Like this is life or death because it was our whole life,
Mm-hmm.
and there's never been agency. There's never been a choice. And you're like, you mean you're telling me I can pause and I can rest right here and I'm not going to die? But that is very real for the
Yeah.
nervous system, and so we have to build safety through repetition and through little drops, and also know that we can pause and we can move towards something that feels better. Like right now, there's a little baby deer walking outside my
Stop it.
oh, a little tiny little baby deer
Oh.
just walking in my backyard. And so that's a moment of safety. And now can I feel that? Like, oh, look at that. And then what we're doing is by pendulating, swinging to discomfort, swinging to comfort, swinging to the baby deer, we're showing our nervous system that both of these things can exist and that we can be here with both of them. And we can also put them right down and go for a walk. And so that's why I think it's so important to know our resources, to know what makes us feel good, and to move towards that um, in a titrated way so that we can just continue to grow that swimming pool, the analogy that we give with getting our capacity a little bit bigger, and over time it's not there's no trigger anymore. We have safety and then we go to the next thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny when you were talking about um with fix it and there's something wrong with me. I had a client several years ago who she had multiple practitioners. I was one of 7 or 8 different people she was working with, and she
Oh.
wanted to work with me on weight loss. Well, we ended up going way deeper and finding several other things we were working on that um weren't really related to her weight. But she said to me, one of her other practitioners said to her, "Why are you acting like a sick person? Stop acting like a sick person."
What
And
do you
she
mean by
said
that?
that she kept same thing. She kept chasing like another test, another
Oh,
supplement, another practitioner. I mean, trust me, she had, like I said, about 8 people she was working with. And they're like, just stop acting like a sick person. You're perfectly healthy. Yes, you might have this, or this, little things to work on, but overall, you're not laying in the hospital. You're not. So she said that really almost kind of startled her to hear that from a practitioner. Like, stop acting like a sick person. Stop chasing all these things and um, just relax.
yeah,
Which is easier said than done.
yeah,
But
yeah.
that
Well,
that
that
really
last part is
that
tough.
stuck with me. That stop acting like a sick person. I was like, that really is pretty powerful.
Yeah, and it's like that's something that I certainly consider with clients is tough love. And we have to kind of go on that journey and see things for ourselves, knowing when to throw that punch or that
Right.
love hug, that love at somebody.
Yeah.
That takes a lot of rapport. And I'm kind of the person that I like that stuff. I like a little wake up call. Um, it sounds like that worked out for your person, and I mean, that's something I'm realizing now after many years of this. With my symptoms with the gut, you could have called it a million different things. And it's funny because the only treatment that really helped, I would say, would be fasting because I'm
Mhm.
kind of resting my gut.
Mhm.
Any kind of anti microbial, any kind of like herbal antibiotic, or I mean, there was things like so many things that I took that would just blow me up. And it's because my system didn't feel safe. And what's crazy is when I started doing this work, I was so restricted that I was probably about 100 and I was 140 pounds at one time. I'm 195 right now. And the only food that I could eat was meat and salt. And
Mhm.
my motility was so slow that I could maybe eat one time a day. And I was very fearful, that I wouldn't get enough food because I was already shrinking. I mean, I went down multiple pant sizes. I wish I could pull up a picture and show people. Um, but I was addicted to fasting and I had restricted myself down till I couldn't eat anything else. And when I started going to therapy, it wasn't even this nervous system stuff. It was more CBT, DBT, analyzation, like kind of learning about, like I came into this thinking I had all these traumas, car accidents, head injuries, um, you know, mold, Lyme, heavy metals. I had all these things. I thought that was the trauma. And I had to learn that it was early developmental trauma. It was needs not being met. And
Yep.
when I started learning this stuff and connecting those dots and seeing like, yeah, that was fucked up. I would burp, and me and my therapist would laugh about it. But then I found out that it's super normal because we've got so much tension that we're holding in the fascia, and as we meet these parts and let some of those balls out of the pool were burping, and then I would get food back. Same thing with athletic ability. I couldn't exercise more than 10, 15 minutes at a time and accidentally worked out for an hour. And so it was never a diagnosis or
Mhm.
something to be supplemented or to be restricted. It was safety,
Mhm.
and I'm curious, like, do you have similar experiences like that are just like, I can't explain this when people start including the nervous system with their gut protocol?
Since I've only been doing it for not quite a year, I
Hmm.
don't have a ton of clients, aha. But
Yeah.
one client that I have, yes, she did the testing because she wanted to do testing. Um, but then we started adding just the Nerva app. I don't know if you've heard of the Nerva
Yeah,
app.
what is
It's for,
that?
yeah, it's for IBS, excuse me. And it's gut hypnotherapy.
Okay.
Yep. And so basically it's, people think hypnotherapy like you go to a comedy show and you see somebody hypnotized on stage. No, it's just more like guided meditations, visualizations, that sort of thing. And she started noticing a difference within 3 weeks
That's
doing that app that
that's
her,
very common with this stuff. It's like
yes.
a quick turnaround.
Yeah, yeah. And Nervat says, you do it first. It's a 6-week program and it's an app. It gives education. It also does the guided visualizations and meditations. And so they say give it 6 weeks. And studies have shown that it works better than a low FODMAP diet,
I
which
hate low five map.
if you've
Oh,
ever done one, it sucks. So
oh,
you
you gonna tell
don't
me I
want
gotta eat asparagus and a half, like one and a half piece? That's why I did the carnivore
right.
diet. I was like, I'm
Yep.
not, get
You
that.
know,
I'm just gonna eat ad libitum.
yeah. And they've had the studies show on the Nerva that the symptoms with the studies they've done have resolved up to at least 5 years. It resolves symptoms by doing a 6-week gut directed hypnotherapy, basically gut brain reconnection. If you don't have that connection, you don't have motility. You don't
Oh yeah.
have, you don't have the microbiome stability. You don't have, mood stability. So that gut brain connection is huge. So you can do as many stool tests as you would like to do and take as many supplements as you want, But if you're not addressing that gut brain connection, it's going to be short-lived success. So she's the one that comes to mind. I will say that a lot, I'm going to say probably 2 or 3 people that I have recommended it have poo-pooed it and brushed it off. And they just wanted just what's another supplement.
Oh yeah.
Um,
They're not
so
ready. They're not ready. They're still in
right,
the old
exactly.
patterns and
And that's the way we approach it. Yeah, if you're not ready, I get it. I'm not going to abandon you. We're still going to work together. But I am straight with them and tell them that this is a big piece. So, when you're ready, we can talk about it. But we'll table it for now. But no, it's kind of in our back pocket if and when you're ready.
yeah. Yeah. When I get it. I was there for 20 freaking years and we're
Yep.
having this podcast so that people can not have to wait for so long and get that information. If this is speaking to you, you're in the right place. I remember when I got started and I went to go talk to somebody about the anxiety that I had, and she's like, "We're gonna do some tapping,
Mhm.
we're gonna do this," and
Yep.
I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
Right.
Like,
Yeah. Same.
I was like, where is the Xanax? Give me the Xanax. Like that's what I'm hearing. Like like you can do this all day long. Like
Yep.
that's not what I got going on. And the more I do this work, the more I'm like, oh my God, the woo-woo stuff works. The way that we've been conditioning is wrong. The way that we've been rushing off to put a band-aid on things, it's just fear. And you look at our industry that sucked us up, chewed us up, and spit us out. It's just fear. It's like, oh, have you heard about the oxalates? You mean greens?
Right.
I mean, it's like, are we serious? I was watching Dr. Rhonda Patrick talking about don't put a banana in your smoothie because it binds up antioxidants. Are you kidding me? Is that all you got to talk about? Is terrify people?
Mhm.
I wonder if like, that's what this work is just like you see how fucked up everything is. And it's like, are you people trying to hurt us? Because it seems like if you've got an
Profits.
illness, they've got a solution they're trying to sell you.
Yep. Yep.
What did you say?
I said it's profit. Yep, exactly what you just said. Yeah, yeah. If you can scare somebody into buying your supplements, then you just made a good chunk of change.
What a shill, man. I don't know if they actually know. I mean, I know that when I was pushing that stuff, I believed in it and I thought I was giving solutions for people. And for the person that's not ready for this work, that control feels like a godsend. So I get it, and I'm not trying to bash that. It just feels like we have more information now and we can just stop that shit.
Yeah.
Because all that's doing is keeping people hurt and keeping people from the real information that you got everything you need in front of you. The pharmacy, the supplement, that's just BS, man. Everything that you need is inside of you, and it starts with safety, and it's unpacking all this crap that we've said we have to be and do and show up as to get love and support. Like, nah, man, I want you. I want authentic you. I want you to be able to relax. And if you keep chasing symptoms and supplements and protocols and looking for the next diet, man, that is an exhausting ride, and it's just it never ends.
It doesn't. It doesn't. No. And think of all the years of your life you lost doing that. I mean, I can think of it now. I would have been way better off in my 20s, 30s, and even early 40s, if I had known this then, but I probably wasn't ready, right?
Oh
I
yeah,
wouldn't have been ready. I wouldn't have been ready in my 30s to hear this because if I can't see it, it's not real,
oh
you know?
yeah. Well, then you start now. I believe it. I'm the most woo-woo person you could imagine. Like I am talking to my younger self, reparenting myself, but now I'm so deep into this that I can everything that I studied and learned about is happening, and it is freaking fascinating. And it feels I just got off the call with the client, so I was late. Thanks for being so patient. Um, And he said exactly what I said when I learned this stuff. I'm like, this feels like a magic trick. This can't actually work. And that's because you've been conditioned to take all your power away. And instead of listening to this, to my body and my intuition, we're listening to all these assholes. And those assholes are listening to other assholes. And they're all just afraid and projecting and trying to make a profit off of you and unwilling to do the deep work that is the actual solution. They'd rather just keep showing up, scaring the crap out of you, and giving you solutions that don't work.
And just overriding. I mean, just constantly overriding our body's signals. I mean, I did that all the way back from when I was, anorexic in my teens. I was overriding hunger signals because I wanted that little bit of control, and, overriding my body telling me I needed a rest because I had to go to the gym that day, or overriding the fact that I really wanted to say no and not go out with friends, but I went anyway because people pleaser. So our bodies are meant to heal.
Oh
They're meant to
yeah.
heal,
Oh yeah.
but we get in the way and put all of this stuff in the way. And it takes some time to kind of dig out from under those boxes. I feel like I'm someone that was at the bottom of an apartment where someone was a hoarder. You see that on TV sometime where all the boxes have collapsed in on them.
Yeah,
I'm just
all the supplement packaging that we've
Yeah,
got.
right. Yeah, yeah. So I'm just coming out from under all those boxes right now from a
Hey,
hoarder's apartment.
hey, and I'll tell you this, it's for a reason, and your specific journey of the gut and doing all the things that weren't supporting your body and going on the journey to see, oh, I'm missing this piece. And when I include this, I feel safe and I make progress. You're going to help a lot of people because of that. And I have that opinion because of what I've been through. And why did I get my teeth kicked in so many times? How many times I've had the high of being excited about a new protocol or supplement or restricting myself or doing another 7 day water fast. There's been so many rock bottoms I couldn't imagine, but that's what makes me a good coach because I'm like, oh yeah, I'm constantly just normalizing all these responses and saying, hey, you don't have to do that anymore. In the beginning, when we start to trust and put down some of these patterns. I don't know about you, but that was extremely scary. And eventually it started to get better. And one thing I like to tell people to look for, these little glimmers, these little chills that happen. And you're smiling like you know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about
yeah.
because it's the body's going. I think of oh my gosh, what is the movie back in the day where they're sitting at the table and he's like, Hercules, Hercules.
Oh yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
Yep,
he's
yep. With Eddie Murphy. Yep.
yeah, Eddie
Um.
Murphy and
Yep.
like family something. But that's like what is going on when we start to pull away from the pattern and figure out what our body needs and show up and set the boundaries, say no, rest. And the body's like, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Finally, and that's what I feel like. I feel like I've had a few, like you said, little glimmers. Like it's about damn time you listen to me. That's
Yeah,
kind of where I'm at. Yeah, yeah. And I still have a long way to go,
yeah.
but it it's a fascinating journey. It really is, and yeah.
Hell yeah. And congratulations for starting it and being on it. Man, the sooner the better is what I tell people. And it's been really cool to watch you progress. I want to kind of move into talking about how your protocols and how you help people has changed and what that looks like, where people can find you in case they're like me and they were going through all kinds of gut stuff and they're like, man, I need some help. Where can we find and work with you and how's things changed?
Yeah, well, I do still do some testing. I do still do testing. And I do still, talk about supplements. But I also talk about, the heart math. I talk about Nerva. I talk about, sending them to another whole nervous system program because once we've done the basics, if they're not progressing, then we look a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
So,
Would that be like emotions and things like that? What would be deeper?
yeah, deeper is sending them to a full nervous system program.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because if we've done the nutrition and the chewing the food and the stress management piece and they still have a big thing I find with my clients is motility issues.
Yeah.
They either have motility that's too slow or too fast.
Yeah.
And so much of that is nervous system.
Oh
We have
yeah.
so many nerves in our gut. So if I find we've used a good chunk of the tools in my toolbox and their motility is still not where, you know, they can actually leave the house without a spare set of clothes, I know that they need some deeper work there.
Yeah.
Um,
I wish somebody would have recognized that in me because at that point it was like, oh, here's a new digestive enzyme. Here's a, what are the things called that increase motility? Like ginger does
yeah,
that.
the prokinetics.
Prokinetics,
Yep,
yeah.
yep,
Here's
yep,
prokinetics.
yep,
Here's or do you have enough fiber? Do you
right, yep.
have you tried? Oh man, there's so many supplements that I used to take where it's like this helps with. And have you tried the FODMAP diet? I thought I was going to diet this thing. I thought I was going to supplement this thing. And it's like, it sounds like you want to cover the basics. It's like, let's get I imagine it's like, let's get the processed foods and the bad oils out and let's do like a 80-20 kind of thing. And let's see how you do. Let's bring in some of these, for me, it would also be, EMF and environmental fragrances and
Hmm.
so
Yeah.
now you've got a workout plan going too, but I still feel like crap. You're saying that's when you're like, okay, there's some deeper stuff here.
Yeah, and I mean, some of the just food hygiene stuff, chewing your food, not eating on the run, you know, trying to space your meals apart to allow your system to actually process the last meal that you ate and to let the migrating motor complex, those waves push the food through. So
Mhm.
those are just some basic, eating hygiene is huge. So many people don't do that because we're in a rush. We're in a hurry to go from here to there. You're eating in the car, you're standing up eating. That's a big piece of the work I do with clients because it's so overlooked. And again, they'd rather have a supplement than be told that to pause and take a few deep breaths before you eat your food.
Well, you're by having them pause and slow down and really build awareness of their habits. I mean, that's such a great starting point. I would love to get one of your clients because if they're already pausing and slowing down and getting curious with what's going on, well, that's what's required for the nervous system. For me,
Yeah,
slowing down was like the hardest thing,
it's
like
hard.
um just go 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 go.
Right.
And that rush is feeding into the pattern. You
Hmm.
know,
Right.
how many people when you say you're working with people and they're coming to you, how many people get better with the basics? And how many people need
Oh.
deeper work?
I would say it's hard to say because a lot of times we do both. But I will say I had one client who had already done the testing, had already done the supplements, and then she came to me and we worked on her eating hygiene because in our dialogue, in our coaching sessions, she was rushing through her meals because mealtime as a child was very stressful for her. And none of the practitioners she'd worked with up to this point that did the gut health testing and the supplements had gone there with her, had even gone that, look to see what else is going on here. Her parents fought at the dinner table. So she rushed to get through her meal. And then she became a very high powered executive. So then she didn't have time to eat. So just creating a calm meal environment for her decreased her bloating by 80%.
Wow.
80%. We didn't add a supplement. We didn't take any foods away. She would either eat outside in her garden or she would set the table, and she was single. She would set the table, she would put candles, she would put some music on, and she would sit and enjoy her food. And
That's a great tip.
her bloating 80% better.
That's a really good tip.
Yep.
I really
Yep.
like that.
Yeah. So it's hard to say, she had done all the stuff before and she still wasn't better. And then we brought in, so she kind of did it the opposite way, right? She did all the testing, then we brought in the basics. We could bring in the basics and then do the testing if the basics don't work, or, do it all together. So I'll try to go by what the client, what kind of vibes I'm getting from the client.
That's
You
good. Yeah,
know,
everybody's so different. You
yeah.
gotta build rapport and read them
Hmm.
and see. But it sounds like you really brought in this more holistic, supportive. This I think testing is a good way to not only see where we're at, but to get a snapshot. Sometimes it gives us good information, sometimes it doesn't, but at least it's a
Right.
baseline for later.
Yeah.
Um, one thing that I'm kind of struggling with myself is reintroducing foods, which has been completely fine. There's just two, and they're definitely tied um, to stress because probably last year at this time, what I have found is that 99 point, probably all of my stomach stuff, which was, slow motility and bloating and, just food intolerance and, not digesting stuff was really emotionally based. Okay.
Mhm.
And so about a year ago, I did a food sensitivity test.
Mhm.
I
Yep.
was I was really enjoying having raw milk for the first time in forever. I was crushing it. I was drinking a glass or two at every meal. It was a great source of protein for me. And I got my gut sensitivity test, and it says really high off the charts milk.
Mhm.
There was some gluten down here in like the yellow. I think the only other thing on there was like it was something I don't eat. It was like
Mhm.
a fig or something like that. Like
Mhm.
what? And my doctor told me, hey, cut this out for 6 months. And now that I have tried reintroducing again, I get all this cramping and stomach pain. But it's really when I just have that glass of milk, it's like there's fear. I can feel the fear tied to it. Um, but when I have the same ice cream, the same milk in ice cream, in butter, in
Mhm.
cheeses, no issue
Yep.
whatsoever.
Yep.
And the same thing with gluten. I've brought gluten back into my diet. Sorry to my functional medicine doctor. Yeah, it's mostly sourdough. It's probably more like a 70-30 kind of thing. I don't get any kind of symptoms most of the time, but when I'm stressed, I tend to notice it or have the figure it out, fix it thoughts, and it makes me want to go into a diet, right? Like, what would you say to me if I was your client?
Are we talking gluten? Are we talking milk? Or are we talking both?
Either one, use both of them.
Either one.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I have clients that are almost afraid of something, try to bring that back in. We try to do it in the least stressed way possible. Like, don't bring it back in when you are rushing to a doctor's appointment. Don't down your glass of milk, right? Or don't um, do it in a calm state and titrate. We talked about this earlier. Titrate it a little bit. Um, and just say to yourself, instead of saying, "Oh God, I wonder what this is going to do to my body," am I going to say, "I'm going to stay curious. I'm going
Yeah.
to be curious as I drink this milk and just notice what comes up." So just shifting the way you're even talking about it
Hmm.
sometimes can help. Um, yeah, that's usually what I do.
That makes perfect sense, and that sounds like exposure therapy. And
Yeah.
I would
Oh, yeah.
even go as far to say you could probably imagine it for the first little bit, and then like there's another funny example. The same thing. Um, I had this belief. I haven't drank in a long time. When I have, I tend to wake up in the middle of the night and be really dysregulated. And I can easily go, oh, it's 2 a.m., it's my liver. I can explain it away really quick.
Mhm.
And what happened that was really interesting was I was at a friend's house and he was like, hey, you want a beer? I was like, no, I'm good. He's like, it's non-alcoholic. I was like, oh, yeah, cool. And so I had this non-alcoholic beer. I had a placebo buzz, which was really interesting. And I had the same kind of fear that I would have with bringing milk back in that I had also experienced with alcohol. And my body woke up in the middle of the night like I had drank alcohol. And I'm
Wow.
like, hmm. Is
Yeah.
it the alcohol or is this the fear?
Mhm. Yeah, but
And I
that's
think
a
it's
big
fear.
one for people bringing foods back in that have, um, you know, caused them issues in the past, or even like you, maybe didn't cause issues, but you saw them on a test.
Yeah.
You know.
And it goes back to this whole findings thing
Yep.
that I'm kind of in this, and I really want to hear your opinion. I'm almost at this place where I'm like, and I don't know if it's probably gray. It's not probably not black or white, but I'm in this place where I want to be like, this is bullshit. Like these findings of gluten sensitivity, I don't know, that's kind of questionable. Um, Food intolerance test, whatever, even looking at like Lyme and mold, all these things. So if a lot of people can have these findings and these symptoms and not be symptomatic,
Mhm.
where's the truth? And like, if you're still looking at tests, like, how do you look at it? Is it black or white? Is it in the middle? Like, what would you say?
Yeah. I say you don't ever coach to the test. You coach to the person. You
Okay.
use the test as, like you said earlier, a snapshot. This is a snapshot in time, and that's how I describe to my clients. I'm like, this is especially with gut. The gut changes, and in a stool sample, you're getting a little tiny bit, of what's in there. This is not black and white. It's not, hey, you've got these 10 bad guys in here and 2 good guys in here. So now we're going to get rid of all these, because you know what? You do a gut protocol, you retake that stool test, and you're going to have a whole new set of bad guys in there, or a whole
Yes.
different, so it's going to be, and I mean, I've heard a couple of gut health people in the gut health space who have sent the same stool sample off to 3 different labs and gotten 3 different results.
Oh my God.
So, yeah, so you cannot use that as the only thing. I use it as a piece of the puzzle, but not the whole thing.
And if I'm eating, okay, and say and that was a couple weeks ago. Since then, green lights, everything's really good. If my stomach gets off, it's because of stress. I tend to, actually, I've even started not avoiding things when I am stressed to show myself it's still safe.
Mhm.
Um, so if I have consistent experiences where I'm eating gluten and I'm not running to the bathroom at any time, I'm not stopped up, I'm not having pain or discomfort, is that something that I could, if that was me, if I was your client, would you be like, sounds like you're good?
I mean, yeah, if it's not causing you any health issues and you enjoy it, yeah,
Permission granted.
permission granted, right?
I'm
Yeah,
leaving
I
here
mean,
and we're
because
going to get pizza and beer. You and I are in Raleigh. We're going to meet and get us some pizza.
sounds good. Because that's one of those things that, yeah, I mean, gluten is like the devil on the internet. There's so many different, and it can be for some people. It can be highly inflammatory for some people. And depending, you've heard stories too of people going to Europe and eating bread over there and pasta over there and being perfectly fine, but then they come back and it's the way we've,
But is that
harvested.
conditioning too?
But yeah, yeah,
Conditioning. Now, I'm not
yep,
saying all the time.
right.
Certainly, I was celiac. I was
Mhm.
out of 10 was the number, if I remember correctly. I was a 9.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah,
And so now you're telling me, and I grew hops and brewed my own beer, and pizza
yeah,
and beer was my food of choice back then.
yep.
I gave up and changed my entire life in service of health. And it's like now I've come full circle. I've healed so much, and I'm like, and I'm in this phase of kind of trusting that my body can handle anything that I want to put in there, especially if I'm enjoying it and craving it
Right.
and
Yeah.
not having any adverse effects afterward. But my conditioning says if you don't have this, then you are going to be fucked. It's going to be too much. You're going to be miserable. You're not going to do the things that you love. It's going to last forever. And I would say that's fear, baby.
Yeah, yep. And I mean, the goal is just to build resilience, right? In everything, in your gut, in your nervous system, in your body, because you don't want to be on one end or the other. You just resilience. Nothing's ever going to be perfect.
And we were the
So
opposite
just
of that. We were the opposite of that when we were avoiding foods and doing
yep.
protocols. I mean, how beat up was my body when I was fasting for 7, 8 days in a row,
Mhm.
not giving it carbs because I'm terrified of a banana, and then running to CrossFit on a cup of coffee and not eating for 36 hours and then doing an ice bath afterwards because that's what
Yep.
I've been taught is going to heal me. And it's like, this is a mess.
Yeah. 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 The guilt I felt when I took my first bite of oatmeal after I went paleo, I felt so guilty. I'm like, it's freaking oatmeal.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
same thing, a banana. God forbid you can't have a banana. There's too many carbs in it. Um, it's just wild to look back now and see. I mean, and I think you knew this. I did a bikini competition at age 45, and I just wanted to see. And I literally went into it and said, I want to see how far I can push my body. Really? I was crying daily. I was miserable, but I saw it through because I don't quit. That's just not. I'm just not that person anymore.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah.
I love that you're sharing this, and it's totally me. I mean, me and a buddy used to laugh about being afraid of bananas,
Mm-hmm.
um, afraid of eating before noon, having carbs for breakfast, like
Yep.
all the things, and the amount of capacity that we had doing all that stuff compared to where we're at now is so different. And I think you got to go through the journey. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
do you think this is shifting across the industry that what we thought we knew is BS and it's not working? Or how do you see the industry shifting of how people look at gut health?
Yeah, it's funny because I always think. oh, everyone knows this, because that's the world I'm kind of immersed in. So I
Yeah.
assume it's shifting, but then I will talk to people who still don't have the basics of gut health down. I'm like, okay, so it's not everywhere, right? So is it shifting? I don't know. Is that just me seeing more of what I'm familiar with and more of what I surround myself with? It's hard for
Yeah.
me to say. What do you thought? What are your thoughts on that?
I think I quit listening to the other people. I don't care anymore. Dr. Pompa saved my life when I worked with him. Now I get disgusted when I see him going, "Oh, did you know?" And standing in, he's standing in the grocery store and he's like, "Salmon, is it good or is it bad? I don't know. Let's
Mhm.
find out. It's killing you." Is the result, and it's like, wow, man, is that really what we need? Is that what
Yeah.
we need? Is another fear? And it feels like be afraid of this so I can sell you a solution so that you can keep showing up and I can keep that hook in you. And with my clients, it's the opposite. It's like, show up with me, let me support you. I'm going to decondition the shit out of you. I'm going to show you, I'm going to Oz, if you're ready, I'm going to
Yep.
pull back the canopy and say, this is what it really is. And the thing is, what I'm selling you isn't flashy. It's
Right.
pretty much you showing up with you, and it
Yep.
shows you that you have the power and that no matter what happens, you're going to be safe. And it's going against gravity and everything that you've ever known to let go of the conditioning that we have. And that's only the beginning of the red pill experience. It starts with ourself, it goes into society, relationships, family, and you're like, wow, what I thought was real kind of is very different than what I expected. And
And how powerful, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut
oh,
you
go
off
ahead,
there.
go ahead, go
I was
ahead.
gonna say, how powerful is that to be able to give people the gift that they realize they have what they need. I
Mm.
mean, you must see relief on people's faces after they go. They're like, I never knew. I never knew I had that power. I never knew I had a choice, you know?
Well, typically what it is the person I work with all kinds of people, men and women. I've got first responders, I've got professional athletes and special operators in the military. And typically what's going on is they've got some chronic symptom, gut, anxiety, fatigue, whatever, and they really think it's what they're eating or
Mhm. Yeah.
um, this thing that they took or whatever. And it's like it's actually something. It's safety. You didn't have safety when you were a kid. It's all these things that we've stuffed way down, and needing that stuff is overwhelming. And
Mhm.
um, there's so much time crying and being uncomfortable, um, and it's worth it. And I would say the results that I see with my clients in 1 to 3, 6 months outpaces what I was doing with the restriction and the supplements and the protocols by tenfold. It happens so quick. I'll see it before they recognize it, and
Right.
I don't really want to point that out if they haven't felt it yet. Um, but yeah, it's just it feels like magic because it's so different than what we've learned.
Mhm.
And as a practitioner, it's like, man, I always wanted to help people as much as I could. I don't wear my health coaching hat anymore. Every now and then, it's like, what are you eating? Like, well, okay, we need to change that a little bit. But it's getting people off fast food and processed foods, and even there, I don't. Maybe all the time, it's not good, but I'm constantly being uh, proved wrong, and who knows where I'll be in a year. I might just be eating junk food in a year.
Yeah.
But it's amazing to see what happens when we bring in the nervous system, and we're doing that, and we also support people from a food standpoint and movement. Maybe there is some detox, maybe there is
Mhm.
some supplements, but we're not here to fix. We're just, hey, let's see what happens if we support these things. And ultimately, I think those are crutches that aren't needed when we have safety and we're showing up and we can listen and respond to our body.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe things that need to be or that you choose to implement while you're working on some of the nervous system stuff, while you're
Yeah.
going deeper, um, to be able to get to that deeper work, you
Yeah,
know.
I mean, I would say one thing that was tricky for me was TRT, testosterone replacement,
Mhm.
hormone replacement, because the more I got into this work, I'm like, this feels like fixing, this feels like control.
Mhm.
And luckily, I had the experience of going 6 months without it, just being in a nasty, nasty depression, seeing that I had type 2, meaning upstairs is not getting the signal from downstairs. And life is a whole lot better when I take this. But that's very nuanced, and that took a long time and a lot of conditioning to unwind that and to trust that both of these are okay.
Yeah.
It's not black or white, it's gray. And I think that's what people are going to benefit from working with you is this holistic approach. You're taking the snapshot, you're tracking things over time, you're really bringing in the deeper work. And ultimately, I think that is the work. And then along the way, we're going to support the body as needed, and you're going to learn what's right for you, and that's going to continue to change. And the goal here is
Hmm.
to have you eat as many foods as you can and enjoy
Right.
yourself doing it, and all that's possible. And I think the missing component that we were missing for so long, going full circle, is just the
Hmm.
nervous system and the
Yeah.
emotions and the sensitivity that comes from never feeling safe.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Who'd have thought? Who'd have thought we'd be here
No,
when we
I
first
felt so
met?
excited to have this conversation. And thank you so much for joining me. If people are interested in working with you, tell us how to
Mhm.
find you.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram. I'm at Rebecca Arcina. My email's info@RebeccaArcina.com, and my website is RebeccaArcina.com. So it's just my name everywhere.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for making it easy on us.
Thank you.
Any like closing advice or words of encouragement that you can think of for the audience before we pop off, or somebody that's, been where you are, dealing with gut issues, and they're just, trying to throw the kitchen sink at it?
Yeah. I would say take a break. No, seriously, take a supplement holiday.
Yeah.
Unless it's something obviously, if you need it to function, I get it. But I was scared to give up some supplements. I was literally, oh my gosh, when can I get that order? When is that order? I'm going to pay extra to have it delivered, overnight because
Yes.
I was
Oh my God.
afraid. Yeah.
Wow, that
So
brings back memories.
yeah, so I would say if, you hire someone like Mitch, to help you unwind some of this stuff. But don't be afraid to step back and take a take an overview of everything that you've been doing and sit with it and say, is this really helping me? Whether somebody says it's supposed to help or not is, mute point. Just, is it really helping me? Is it helping me feel better? Um, is it helping my mental health? Is it helping, because some people, I mean, I had one client, she was on like 8 different supplements. She's like, how do I know if these are working? Well, apparently they're not doing anything if you still
Yeah.
feel,
Yeah.
still feel
Yeah.
the same. So that's what I tell them. I'm like, supplement holiday, take a break from it and just try to look at it, you know, try to get a good overview of if what you've been doing has been helping. If it hasn't been helping, don't be afraid to reach out and ask, ask Mitch for help.
Yeah, no doubt. That reminds me. I'm gonna tell one last story and then we'll drop it. But man, the shipping supplements and shipping tests really quick. Oh my God! And I remember showing up to talk about all this stuff. Basically, all my trauma started coming out. I had a bunch of anxiety. I showed, bring your supplements in, we'll muscle test them. And I had
Mhm.
2 trash bags like this. And when I worked with Dr. Mark Gordon, he helps me with him and his daughter Allison helped me with hormone replacement. And we were going through my supplements and trying to figure out my protocol. And he's like, "What?" Because everything that he wanted me to take, I was taking a little of this and that. And he's like, "You got to just do a flush or whatever." And I'm
Yep.
like, "What
Yep.
is that?" He goes, "For the next 3 months, you're not taking anything."
Mhm.
And I about lost it.
Yes.
That was the hardest thing. I think I kept my digestive enzyme supplement
Mhm.
for another week,
Mhm.
and then I stopped everything. And guess what? I started having regular poos. My
Mhm.
stomach felt so much better, and I was like, man, this less is more thing really
Yep.
works. And so Rebecca's got some really good information there, and thank you so much for coming on and sharing your journey. So many people are going to resonate with this, and if you've been watching. Thank you for following along. Please don't forget to like and comment. If you have questions, leave them below. I would love to answer those in like a solo podcast. If if you have questions for Rebecca, I'll certainly share those. She's here in Raleigh with me, and we're good buddies. We keep up all the time. Rebecca, thanks again for coming on.
Thank you. I
And
appreciate it
we'll certainly have to do a round two
for sure.
in the future.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks.
All right, bye bye.
Okay, bye.